Welcome to the CoinSec Podcast. On this week's episode, we discuss wallet software security issues, cryptocurrency miners hidden in Android apps, CoinHive found in AOL ads. I didn't even know AOL was still a thing anymore, but hey, we're going to talk about it. The Verge cryptocurrency hack, and we have a special guest, Justin, aka Sneakerhax, is joining us. All that and more on episode number 12 of the CoinSec Podcast.
You want to secure your assets.
We can crack the wallet.
Oh, we've done it before.
We've got rigs, character adversary, attribution mode
With our private keys combined.
Building some kind of blockchain super weapon.
There's just a number of vulnerabilities that are in the smart contracts.
Math. It's probably secure.
They all secretly mine cryptocurrency.
What coin can I trust? Which one is cryptographically secure?
Don't roll your own crypto. CoinSec Podcast. CoinSec Podcast is a podcast about cryptocurrency and blockchain technologies with a focus on securing them. Don't let the hum of our dual-purpose crypto miner / password crackers in the background disrupt your listening pleasure. Today, I have with me Ralph May. What's going on, Ralph?
What is up? Excited to be here.
Always. Anything new going on for you, man?
Not a whole lot. Just living the dream right here.
Yes, I think we... Yeah, hopefully we're all living the dream. I also have Steve Borosh. What's up, Steve?
Hey, man. Not the cryptocurrency prices, that's for sure.
Seriously. Again.
Ooh. Slow burn.
Yeah.
We are missing Mike this week, but we do have a special guest. Justin, a.k.a. Sneakerhax. What's up, Justin? Welcome to the show.
How's it going?
Pretty good, man.
Hey, welcome, Justin.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for, deciding to come on this random show that nobody listens to.
Yeah, definitely. No,
I love it.
I definitely listen to it. I'm a fan.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. So, Justin, I guess let's chat for a bit about you and kind of what your interest is in cryptocurrency and that kind of thing. So, first off, I got a couple questions. So, like, how did you get your start in cryptocurrency? What was your initial interest? What is the thing that interests you most about it?
So basically over the years, a few people have brought it up to me, definitely a lot earlier, like in 2013 and even in 2010, but it didn't really catch my attention. And so I started working at my current job, and I had my friend Lee. He kind of started talking to me about it kind of every day, every other day. And he had kind of an approach that was like a mixed market approach versus he seemed to have more knowledge and more technical insight into it. So once I started hearing the technical side of it, I started getting a lot more interested. Nice.
And I guess let's back up a little bit too, because for those of the listeners who don't know you, what do you do? I know what you do, but for them, I guess let's kind of give them a little overview of kind of what you do and kind of that'll kind of help drive your position and what you think about it.
Cool. So I'm a penetration tester at Microsoft. I do kind of a mixture of assisting with red team stuff. I'm focused on a lot of AppSec work right now and also doing kind of research that backs up red team work. And then prior to that, I did about 2 years of red team stuff at another company.
Awesome. Yeah. So the AppSec kind of fits perfectly kind of right into the mold of kind of analyzing wallet software and various applications involved in the cryptocurrency realm, I bet.
Yeah, so it was basically a transition that I made. I was very hardcore network pen tester, all about red teaming. And then when I got to Microsoft, they basically said, do I want an opportunity to kind of do a year on the AppSec team, which is kind of common for joining that role. And I was a little reluctant at first, but now that I've gotten deeper into the code and deeper into a lot of AppSec stuff, it's definitely a plus. I feel like a much stronger pen tester overall now.
Yeah, for sure.
I have to agree with you there. I think that you get the AppSec side of it. Each web application is different, and most of them are coded independently and separately. So you've got to rethink your logic on each test versus a network test where you kind of know, hey, this is Active Directory and this is how things are laid out. I think it does really hone your skills as a penetration tester. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I definitely like to see people take that AppSec angle on the red teaming stuff because, as far as adversaries go, they don't just focus on the same thing over and over. It's definitely whatever gets them to the goal.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing to think about too is, a lot of pen testers, red teamers think when you're on an internal network, it's all, AD pivoting, exploiting various services, but not too many people take a look at the actual web apps that are on internal networks. Having that kind of AppSec background might help there as well too.
Yeah, when you take into consideration, not everything's, on an AD network anymore, and Docker is introduced in the picture, and container engines and different things like that, Kubernetes, you're looking at a whole different landscape nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. So, I guess, are you focused mainly on like web applications? You do any mobile app stuff?
So right now I'm focused on a lot of software security stuff, definitely into some researching, some reverse engineering related stuff. So I kind of get a good mix up at work of different things. Oh, nice, dude. That's awesome. Yeah. So that's definitely right down the alley of kind of like reversing the various softwares for different cryptocurrency programs and whatnot. Yeah, it's definitely one of the reasons why I probably become more interested in this at this point. Awesome. So you recently wrote a blog post titled "I Hate Blockchain." Can you, I guess, tell us a little bit more about that? Yeah, so the "I Hate Blockchain" title was a little bit of clickbait, but in a way it was kind of a challenge to more of a public challenge to some of the things I was facing when people were approaching me. They were just yelling just all this just babble about how things were going to fail and how blockchain's not going to work. And the first thing I noticed and, continuously noticed over and over again, a pattern was that they didn't know the first thing about blockchain. They didn't understand the technology. They didn't even have a simple fundamental understanding. So kind of the premise of that article was, I challenge you to go out and learn blockchain stuff and crypto, stuff about crypto assets so that you can have an argument with me that's actually educated. So I think we all know, all of us who have kind of studied this stuff, that that's a complete trap. If you actually start looking into it, most likely you're going to get sucked in.
I feel like this whole industry is based off of that from like the very beginning, right? When everyone's like, "Oh, Bitcoin, what is that? That's fake money. That's play money." And then when people actually read about it, this is from the very beginning. They're like, "Oh, well, actually, I read it and it seems interesting." And, absolutely. The more I read into it, oh, well, this could actually be something. And I think that echoes what you're kind of saying right there, right? Yeah, definitely. I mean, you get in, you start learning about the tech, and you kind of see the vision of how it can make everything better, and you just start thinking totally differently. Absolutely. Yeah, and I love the way you went about it too, with doing like kind of the negative title, but actually, like if you read your blog post, it's super positive. Like you talk about how you looked into it, and actually it was something that was really interesting by the time you got like through some of the research you were doing. Yeah, I actually got some really cool reach outs after that. People kind of liked how I put that information together. Some people might look at it as just like a list of resources, but I chiseled out the exact path that I took. And the funny thing is, when I first started researching this, when you go to actually Google some of the terms that will bring you back, the documentation you might need, you're going to just get punched in the face with crypto stuff. So really got to dig and kind of chisel out the technical details. And I found this was one of the spaces where it's the hardest to do. Oh, seriously. Like if you look at any ICO, it's just blabber about nonsense, and none of it is actually really technical, unless some of them, like if you actually dig into the white paper, there might be like a little glimmer of some technical stuff in there. But for the most part, most of them are just trying to sell you something. Yeah, I definitely think it's the best and the worst part. Like it opens up, if you read the book, The Internet of Money, it allows everyone to have a voice, just like, getting on the internet and creating a blog did. Suddenly the news wasn't the only place that you could get kind of information about stuff. So this is kind of the same thing that's happening again. And at some point it'll tune itself to kind of a more refined, message. Yeah, for sure. So, I know you haven't really been kind of involved for too long, but have you actually started looking at any mining or any trading other than just like the security aspects of it? Yeah, definitely. So I've been a little bit lighter on kind of the trading lately, but when I first got into it, I bought just enough to where I would hold my interest. And then I started doing a little bit of technical analysis, kind of doing some day trades with a little bit of money just to test it out, which went okay, actually. And then I really started like researching a different coin like every week just to see kind of what the technologies were. So this year, I'm really big into, I want to see the actual implementation, and I want to see something that's actually going to roll product. So let me ask you, what is your process for kind of identifying coins that you think are going to be successful? Do you just kind of like look at like the top
top coins? Do you have like sources of like new coins that are coming out? How do you go about that?
So if I just want to randomly research a coin, sometimes I'll go on CoinMarketCap and I'll just click on the little area that'll kind of arrange it by what has had the most gains in the past 24 hours. And if it's like some weird obscure coin, maybe I'll go research that. But if I actually know there's a specific one that I want to look at, I'll definitely start by going to the website, determining whether or not they have a white paper, whether that white paper is filled with just complete fluff or, pretty pictures and whatnot. And then I'll evaluate.
That would never happen.
Yeah, that definitely does happen. And I evaluate kind of the GitHub. I evaluate the people inside of it. Like sometimes you'll look at the people inside of it and they'll have links to LinkedIn, but then they'll have just one job on there. And I kind of looked at one recently where it's just very limited and shallow amount of knowledge available on the people and kind of their backgrounds.
Yeah, the team is definitely huge, right? I mean, they have to have technical expertise. They have to, be able to actually secure it once they do build whatever product they're going to build. Have the vision actually implemented in a good way. So yeah, very cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you see as the biggest problem in terms of security currently in the cryptocurrency ecosystem?
I think the biggest problem right now is just the sheer amount of money that people are willing to throw at it without thinking about security at all. And
good point.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising. So I kind of compare it to like computers and the internet where like, previously in history, things that we were worried about, we stayed away from them, but suddenly we were bringing them into our houses and we were putting all of our information on social media. It's kind of an accelerated asset version of that where people know even less about crypto assets, but are willing to throw tons of money at it.
And the stakes are ridiculous. I mean, if an exchange gets hacked, it's like $500 million gone. Easy.
Yeah, and that was definitely a peak kind of interest point for me. There was a lot of real money involved, and people couldn't even answer the simple questions. Like when I got into it and people started talking to me about it, I said, "Okay, what's the most secure wallet?" And I just heard like, "I don't know." And I was like, "You have a wallet. How did you not research the security of it?"
Even people who are really deep in it, sometimes it's hard for them to even explain it. I mean, I don't want to like call somebody out, but like I'm gonna do it anyway. I was listening to a podcast. The Unchained podcast. It's another cryptocurrency podcast where the host of it was actually interviewing Zuku, the guy who actually created Zcash. He's the president and owner of Zcash. And she was grilling him about the differences between the transparent wallets and the shielded wallets. And I don't know, he didn't sound like he had like a really good explanation for telling her in a way that she could understand. And it was a good 30-minute conversation about just the transparent and shielded addresses. And even at the end of it, I was like, wow, there still is like kind of a question up in the air there whether or not you could potentially trace back those different payments, even between shielded addresses.
I actually heard that exact podcast, and I was kind of impressed because when you dig down on the technical elements and you start kind of grilling somebody on those aspects, you frequently find out that they really can't explain it. I think this happens in security as well. Like people can be amongst certain crowds where they can just spew nonsense all day and get away with it. But when somebody comes in that has kind of technical prowess, they suddenly start surfacing the bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So you kind of heard the same thing I heard then.
Yeah, basically the exact same thing. I mean, she kept kind of rephrasing the question to give him a fair opportunity to answer, but he kept just not answering the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard the same things like with Electroneum's mobile mining. It's like they kept saying, "Oh, this will help strengthen the network." Okay, well, it doesn't actually mine. So how does that strengthen the network if you're fake mining? So
yeah, it almost turned into like a kid's toy at that point.
Yeah,
it's like,
okay, so you're just handing out
for kids.
Yeah, you're just handing out free money. Great. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think that's an anomaly in the industry. It seems to be kind of widespread, so that's one thing to look out for sure.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking about that on a previous podcast for sure.
I think all the stakeholders too are, coming from different aspects, right? I mean, everyone's coming in looking at, what it's going to do for them, whether it's going to make them money or they can invest in it or how they can contribute to it and all the other things. But sometimes security doesn't end up being one of those conversations, or how it technically works. Well, I don't care how it works. I just want to know how am I going to make money, or how is this going to grow, or however it may be. So
yeah, every VC company on the planet right now is like, oh, does it have blockchain in the name? We're going to fund it.
Oof, man, we're going to make some money.
Doesn't matter what it does. Doesn't matter who's behind it. It's going to get funded.
Yeah. The technical aspect tends to get washed out.
And then something that literally, may do something special. Maybe it has some cool little niche thing that it does, gets like pumped like crazy in the media, makes a bunch of money. McAfee tweets it, and then you got all these people that are, putting their money towards it, and then, without the actual security backing it to protect it.
It's like, let's do security last. That's never been a problem before.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
let's do what we keep been doing. Yeah, let's keep doing that. Yeah, let's keep repeating it.
So, Justin, have you worked on any bug bounties related to cryptocurrencies?
So I'm a little bit restrained on my ability to work on bug bounties because of the work that I work on, or the place that I work at. But I've definitely taken a look at the Coinbase bug bounty. I dug around. At that time that I dug around on there, I don't think I really understood like some of the implications or how some of the exchanging works. That's why some bugs are coming up about, swinging around Ethereum, or, they're able to get large chunks of it. But I definitely took a look at like how their infrastructure is. And I took a look at something called the FIX protocol, which is, I think it's the Financial Information Exchange. And there's been a fuzzer written for it before, but that's something else that I kind of started looking into.
Nice. Very cool. Have you looked at any challenges, like some of the like gaming kind of challenges that are out there?
Yeah, so I took a look at one the other day. I think it was called Ethernaut. Mm-hmm. And I started kind of poking at that. There's definitely seems to be like a major lead. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Trailer Bits, but they seem to have like a good sized lead on some of the stuff, and they have challenges, talks about CTFing in this space, and then also they have a lot of really good tools that are kind of good educational stuff.
I think, isn't Ethernaut it's a smart contract challenge from, is it Zeppelin, I believe?
I believe so. Yeah, I only clicked and looked at it one time. I haven't really gotten a chance to mess around with it, but I'm actually thinking about building a Ethereum security kind of smart contract challenge for a conference that I'll be at, I think, next year.
Nice.
I mean, do you think that these kind of challenges could kind of open up this industry to the security ramifications of what they're building, and maybe open up the eyes of the consumers to how this may affect them, may not affect them? You know what I'm saying? Just the overall picture of what we're doing here, right? Or what all these different ICOs.
Absolutely, yeah. I definitely think that it definitely depends on the people, right? Like if there's some huge compromise and everyone goes right back the next day, like I've experienced huge compromises and I've asked, the average person, hey, are you going to shop there still? And they said, yes. So if nobody's looking for that, then the actual consumer may not care about it, but it's no doubt that the exchanges and the wallets do not like the negative press that they get.
Awesome. Yeah. So do you have any current favorite coins?
I'm kind of, I'm not like full Bitcoin maximalist, but I definitely enjoy, researching Bitcoin the most. I like the strength that it has. I've been researching a lot into the Lightning Network and how that's going to change a lot of things. Ethereum as well. Litecoin. Kind of was looking into Monero a little bit, and I think there's also, Stellar Lumen was one that I think has kind of a solid foundation. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of keep it small, kind of a small circle of coins that I am interested in.
That's good. I mean, so I noticed with what you picked, you've got a few different blockchains and not any actual like tokenized coins. Which I think is kind of cool. Sometimes, you have like there's a ton of tokens out there that are built on Ethereum. And I kind of like that you just picked straight up like different blockchains, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, I'm a little conservative about, what tokens I'm actually willing to mess around with and play with and own.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Steve actually has a question. I'll let Steve ask it.
Yeah. So, What do you think, which do you think would be more impactful to society, cryptocurrencies or blockchain technology itself?
That's really a tough one because, if you kind of see the vision that like Andreas Antonopoulos has about, all of the people, I think he said like 4 billion people that don't have access to banking, the ability to give everyone kind of not a bank. I mean, that's kind of an idea that we grasp right now or we kind of hold on to, but the ability to exchange value from even just a phone. That's something that we can already see on the horizon. It's tough to know what blockchain is going to do at this point. A lot of people are going to implement it into things and we're not going to know which things are going to go, full bore and which ones are going to kind of, taper off after a while. But at this point, to me, it seems like cryptocurrency, as far as the foreseeable future, could be the most impactful.
Okay. See, I'm kind of the opposite of that, to be honest. I think that, we talk about disparate places where people don't have, the ability to bank and things like that. Do they really have smartphones where they can transfer funds to each other? Probably not so much, I would think.
Well, there's definitely, the example that he uses. He basically says there's parts of the world that don't have clean running water, but they still do have phones and internet. So I don't know the statistics on that one, but I do also kind of agree with the other side is that I do agree with the idea of decentralizing some things, especially in the light of like the stuff that's happening with Facebook. And when you centralize any value or you centralize data, there tends to be at some point corruption. I think blockchain can distribute that, not allow that to happen.
To have that immutable value to it, right? And that's what I like about some things that I've seen about blockchain being introduced into like food distribution and things like that. Where things come from and where it was produced, how much it cost at each leg of the section. So you really know if you're getting what you pay for and whether or not it was, produced with antibiotics and stuff like that. So I think it has a lot of value to like the food that gets distributed throughout the world, and that can help in those other third worldish type places as well, where maybe they don't have money, and maybe we can get them quality food and things like that. So yeah, it's kind of a dichotomy, which is better than the other one, but it's cool to hear your point of view. Thank you.
Yeah, I was talking to someone the other day about like our voting system, for example, where you walk up to it and you vote, and once that happens, it just goes off into the nowhere, right? And the next thing you do is you check the news to see who won. A system like that, if we voted on a blockchain, even if it was temporarily offline while we were voting, you could go home with that transaction number and check to make sure that vote went to the right place. And you could also run a node on that network to make sure that all of the votes were calculated. So
right. Some of the wouldn't necessarily have your name on it, but maybe an identifier, so you would know, hey, that's my public key, so I know that's me, and I know that's my vote.
Yeah, and I think also like with social security numbers, once those get popped, right, you're kind of screwed for life. But if there was another identifier that could be regenerated and revalidated, then we could do something with that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely.
All right. I had one question for you too, as well. I know that mining is kind of a central piece of cryptocurrencies and kind of the whole ecosystem. As we build that as the foundation of all this blockchain. But what do you think of mining as far as becoming the opposite of decentralized, right? Where we start mining in the centralized nature, ASICs, and all the other pieces of that. And then one other piece of that question would be the idea that all the power that mining uses, right? I think this comes up in a lot of questions. So I guess I just want to get your take on mining in general for blockchains.
So I think that somebody brought this up to me recently, and I kind of challenged them to give me like a technical reason for disliking blockchain. And one valid one, they brought up like the electricity usage. And I think as electricity is what we would refer to as like a more renewable energy, I don't think it's as big of an issue as people are making right now. But I think also the ASICs thing has gotten really political, and I don't really know which side of it to stand on. I know that people really enjoy being able to mine with GPUs, and I know that it's a good way to control the distribution of the coins of the tokens, but I kind of haven't really picked a side on, the ASICs thing versus not doing that.
Yeah, I know that in general, the ASIC and, non-centralized mining really kind of has to come down with the vote that you kind of get with this, right? Being able to, the miners pick this as opposed to one central mining pool or one group of pools. So I know that as we go forward, we're going to see more of that. And we have already started to see more coins start to fork whenever ASICs become available. So I think that will
Verge
continue to be a thing.
I really see it as a growing
no,
pain.
that was accidental.
Yeah, I really see it as a growing pain at this point. They're just issues that you're just not going to know how to work out until something's been in existence longer.
Sure, I agree.
All right, Justin, I got one last question for you.
Sure.
In one sentence or less, who is Satoshi Nakamoto?
I have no clue. The CIA, the FBI. I don't have the slightest idea.
That's more than one sentence, but it's okay. Good answer. Everyone.
Everyone.
Nice. Cool. So, Justin, that was an awesome interview. Thanks, man. We're going to kind of move on to the security news and some of the other stuff, state of the market. And if you want to hang around, you can, man.
Yep, definitely.
Sweet. All right. So, state of the market. It's still crap this week. Overall market cap is at like $258 billion. Bitcoin's at $6,847. Ethereum's at $383, and Ripple's at 49 cents.
We had a little rally a few days ago. I would say about 2-3 days ago. Everything seemed to be going on the up and up. And then I don't know if it went along with the stock market and kind of took a dive with it or what happened. But yeah, we're back. We're back pretty much in suckage area.
Hey, you got to turn that frown upside down, right? This is the time to buy.
It is. Buy the dip. Buy the dip. Hey, plus we're still better than we were like 3 or 4 years ago, right?
Yeah, we're up. I mean, for now.
Yeah.
You know what I think we might be experiencing right now is that all of the people that bought, much higher prices, they're seeing when it goes up just a little bit, they're like, here's my chance, and they get out. So I think we're just purging kind of the people with a more weak psychological state towards markets.
Sure. And they've obviously been reluctant to sell, and they're just now, like in the last couple of weeks, realizing, crap, I know this market's got to stabilize somewhere. When's my time to exit? And take a somewhat healthy loss, because like you said, a lot of people bought into the higher market, I think, and now they're all just trying to correct themselves. So I think we got a while to go before this actually gets going anywhere, and I think it's going to take the real adoption of a bank or a nation state as far as adopting it as a currency instead of just an asset to really make things go.
Yeah, I think if someone legitimizes it, like for example, if Amazon were to pick up one of the coins, it would give a lot of legitimacy to it.
Well, I mean, think like Overstock's had Bitcoin for a long time. And I don't know how much market share Overstock has, but it doesn't really seem to affect the market too much.
Yeah, but I think overstocking compared to somebody as big as like somebody would do business with every single day, or it really embedding itself into the banking system, would be like a lot more of a legitimizer. Right.
Yeah, and just ease of use. I saw a nice video today on, and we'll post it on the resources links and stuff like that. But for Dash, there's a town in New Hampshire where they accept Dash everywhere. And they were doing a video of a guy who actually gets paid in Dash, and he buys his coffee, his groceries, and everything in Dash, and in that town, and it's amazing, and it's quick. He just pulls out his phone, bloop, there it is. He pays for it, and it's going to take widespread adoption like that. But it's cool to see at least one town really taking that to heart and actually using it. And that's what it is. Like the guy talked about, I used to use Bitcoin everywhere, but now it takes 10 minutes for my transaction to wait. What am I going to do? Sit at Starbucks and wait 10 minutes for my transaction to get verified? Yeah. No. So everybody's looking for faster and more efficient solutions, like the Lightning Network or Dash and things like that. So, I think it's coming, but it's going to take a while for sure.
Yeah, I think the average consumer doesn't quite have the tolerance for some of the key management stuff that we're dealing with right now.
Right. Exactly.
Cool. So let's go ahead and move on to the weekly security news. So the first story for this week is the cryptocurrency miners hidden in Android apps. So researchers at Kaspersky uncovered multiple malicious cryptocurrency mining apps. Who's surprised here? I mean, it's basically just embedding CoinHive into various types of applications like VPNs. There was like a sports, like I think a soccer watching app that was widely downloaded, like 100,000 downloads or something like that. And, while you're watching the soccer game, running a CoinHive miner in the background. Why not?
Never mind that my phone is on fire.
Actually, no. So that's what I found was really interesting with this article. It actually said that. So which one was it? It was the Vilny.net one. So researchers found that a cryptocurrency mining app called Vilny, VILNY.net, has been downloaded over 50,000 times. And that specific app was tailored. They tailored the app to monitor the battery charge and the temperature of the device, so that the attackers could actually control the CPU usage to avoid high temperatures.
And they made $4.
Right.
That was it.
Hey, 50,000 downloads. I mean, I don't know. Like, they probably made more than $4.
Well, I'd really like to know how much they made.
Yeah, so we need to write an app that scrapes apps for CoinHive addresses, so then we can see which apps are linked to what addresses and how much they mined.
We just need to send out like a like a review email. Hey, have you downloaded a mining app? How much money or how long do you think it ran for? Like a whole survey. We're compiling a list. You may want reward.
And then that runs a miner.
I was going to say,
while they're taking the survey.
That's how you get ahead. That's all I'm saying.
But we'll mine Electronium instead.
Yeah, for what, like 2 cents a piece?
All right, next article is CoinHive and AOL ads. So AOL, I don't know, guys. Is that not an odd thing to hear in 2018?
I'm sorry. Let me close down AIM here. I have so many instant messages coming in. I don't know what to do with it.
Didn't AIM actually shut down completely? Like, is that gone?
Yeah, I think they're gone.
So this is the AOL advertising platform apparently, and so Trend Micro found that there was a freaking CoinHive miner getting served up on MSN.com in Japan. So Trend Micro saw a 108% increase in unique web miner detections from March 24th to 25th in Japan, and it was because a CoinHive miner was being served up on MSN.com, and the way that was, they think the way that happened was that I guess the attackers were able to potentially get into one of the Amazon S3 buckets where the actual JavaScript files are being held for that that ad platform, and they just tagged on the CoinHive miner to the end, the tail end of one of the JavaScript pieces.
It's interesting. I think you could do so much more to make money than just inject a browser coin miner. You know what I mean? Ransomware or something. I don't know.
I don't know, dude. They're making a lot of
data.
I feel like the data's worth more, but that's just me. I mean, I haven't been in hey, how would I sell this kind of scenario? So
yeah, we talked about that one time, Ralph, about this is a much easier thing to go cash out versus trying to sell data.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you only get $20, it's kind of well, I spent a lot of time on this. Now I have no idea how much money they actually made, which is kind of the debate.
But the risk is low too. I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's kind of the same thing with what do you call it, crypto locker type stuff, right? you don't even get the slap on the wrist. You just get like, oh crap, we got whatever, we gotta go for backups, but nobody's coming after you for that.
And the other thing too, I mean, think about like how much effort they're actually putting into it. It's probably not that much, really. I mean, they're just copying CoinHive code, and the big problem is just finding an open S3 bucket and modifying some code.
Is that a problem?
No, I'm saying like, well, it's the doing. It's not a problem. It's so it's probably not much work.
I don't know why. It's just every other conversation is just an S3 bucket away from compromise.
Yes.
It's possible that shortening the time to pay out is worth making less money to them, because really the mean time to pay out is a lot shorter now.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Right. You mean time to Lambo.
Yeah. Mean time to multiple Lambos.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. The Verge hack fiasco. I know Steve is just like on the edge of his seat to talk about this one. So jump right on in, Steve.
A little bit. They've been on a bit of a downward spiral lately. And if you know, like hashtag Verge fam, they're all about protecting their kingdom. But, flaws are flaws, and, not having the foresight to fix things and waiting until, stuff really does go downhill, kind of really takes away from the whole privacy/security part of, your marketing campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw recently like Electroneum and Monero had issues. But this one looks like somebody was able to manipulate timestamps while they were mining. And I want to stick to the facts here. I don't want to spread FUD and just, pure hatred, because I'm upset right now because I lost mining time. But somebody was able to mine for at least 3 hours and grab for every, couple minutes or so, grab a block by themselves, just by changing the timestamps on the blocks and stuff.
And so that was worth like $1 million, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, at today's rates, yeah, yes. But then if they hold on to it, and Verge's privacy. Now, what they said is they're fixed, supposedly null and voided, whatever, because they accidentally, quote unquote, hard forked when they made the fix. So my wallet no longer works, and they're pushing a new wallet out tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's funny.
That's one way to fix things.
They originally, like, if you look at like kind of the Git diff on that, originally it was like a 2-hour window, I believe, and then they changed it to like they were trying to change it to I think it was like 15 minutes or 30 minutes. They were trying to change it to 30 minutes, but they actually did the math wrong and changed it to 30 seconds.
Right.
And so
now they've got another fix 14 hours ago where they changed the timestamp rules and stuff like that, and they've got the that fix so that the miner can't switch that, and they changed the where the block switches, and they changed it to 20 minutes. So for the clock drift. So it's just been interesting to follow along and see them kind of how they've addressed the public in kind of a not so transparent way, but at the same time been fixing things on the back end. And then of course they have to, release a brand new wallet to adhere to the fork. So
yeah, that's the other kind of problem there too, right? I mean, right when this happened, you were asking questions about it too, I think in their Discord, right? And you were just kind of getting like blank answers, like,
yeah, don't worry about it, it's been fixed.
These are the drones you're looking for.
Yeah, now tell that to a bank who's trying to adopt your cryptocurrency. Don't worry about it, it's been fixed.
Right.
That's not the answer. You have to have a more clear and concise and better response to your consumer base than don't worry about it, it's been fixed. Or else, you're not going to get the buy-in, and you're just really shooting yourself in the foot. So, and then a few minutes later, Dash came out with, I think it was Dash. Let me double check. Yeah, Dash came out with a tweet that said basically, Digibyte. Sorry, Digibyte came out and said 51% attacks that did or did not can happen with less secure blockchains like Verge, Electroneum, Bitcoin, Litecoin cannot happen on more secure Digibyte blockchains. So it's just kind of see the poo tossing going on between
shots fired.
These coins. Right? Yeah, like, ooh, you got attacked. Now let's take advantage of that and try to get some market play on our side. So for me, I just like to stand back and just, watch and maybe poke a stick every now and then and see how people respond. But it's been fun. Unfortunately for Verge users who are mining it, they lost out for at least 3 or 4 hours probably on mining time. So I don't see them replacing that as far as, giving money back out or giving Verge back out.
They just go backwards. They're like, no, don't worry. That blockchain thing we said we couldn't erase, we're going to do that.
No, that's Electroneum. They forked and then reverted their fork because it messed up. So it's quite the landscape out there, and just to watch, the insecurity happen. And I think you see this happen more towards coins or cryptocurrencies and assets that don't put the forward effort into hiring people to test their stuff. So I think that's key for future is that, the software development lifecycle, this secure software development lifecycle has really got to be implemented into these people who are building things like this. Otherwise, it's just going to be the same story over and over.
Absolutely. Yeah, and actually the last story is yours as well, Steve. This is about students mining cryptocurrencies, clogging up campus networks. So I guess cryptocurrency mining operations are becoming a real problem for colleges and stuff. Vectra did a study collecting information from August 2017 to January of this year, 2018, and they basically found they analyzed 4.5 million devices across 246 organizations, and on average 165 infected devices and 1,403 malicious events for every 10,000 systems. But for the educational sector, the detection rate was 542 devices, which is 3 times the normal average, and 3,715 events, which is 2.5 times the normal detection rate. I mean, that's probably no surprise. I mean, every college kid is mining on this laptop these days anyway. So what's the difference having a malicious one there?
Yeah, but I mean, they kind of mislabeled this. That student mining cryptocurrencies are clogging university networks. Yeah. Mining really doesn't take up that much network bandwidth. Mm-hmm. But you're draining.
Downloading,
of course, you're draining university power. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're getting free electricity in that dorm. That's what they're doing, right? Mm-hmm. And they've got this whole couple GPUs all plugged in, late at night. I mean, and depending on where they live, maybe it's a free space heater.
Yeah.
Or a chick magnet, right? Hey, babe, come see my Bitcoin miner.
Oh man, look at these GPUs. But either way, though, what I think is funny is the only way they're finding them is actually by the network traffic as opposed to the power consumption.
I know, right?
They don't have a power meter for each dorm room.
So all you got to do is proxy your stuff and you're good to go.
Pretty much, yeah. But these guys are kind of well, it's free power. I got a little GPU. I'm going to make some money on the side. Take my lady out for a date,
Hey, girl, check out this Lambo creation machine.
Yeah, right?
I'm going to be a millionaire one day. You just wait, babe.
Yep.
All right. So that's it for the news for this week. So for our main topic for tonight, we kind of decided on doing a conversation around wallet software security in general. Since we have Justin on, thought it'd be fun to chat about just wallet software security in general. So, cryptocurrencies require users to store their coins in a wallet of some sort. We typically recommend, moving your coins from an exchange to a local wallet. But, many of these come with vulnerabilities of their own. So let's chat a bit about some various vulnerabilities surrounding wallets and talk about some of the better options to use. So I guess, Justin, let me ask you, what are your opinions on the state of the wallets currently?
So I still think that hardware wallets, when implemented correctly, are one of the best ways to store the coins offline. I don't think it's in as bad of a state as some of the articles that have come out recently, which have said essentially like X wallet is hacked.
Right.
This gives people it kind of gives people the idea that someone could reach out from remotely and grab their actual coins when that's not actually the case.
Sure. Yeah. Very true.
Yeah, I agree totally. I mean, we saw those two vulnerabilities, a couple weeks ago, and Ledger and Trezor, and yeah, both those would require somebody to actually like touch the device.
Yeah, so you would have to have like a pre-existing access to the device, and I think I'm going to write up a couple of articles about like what you should expect about like supply chain and when you get the device. And for example, Trezor has a couple of stickers on the device, kind of as an indicator that it hasn't been opened. Now, of course, we all know that these things can be manipulated, but it just increases the cost of attack, and it's something that you should be aware of. If you get one and it's not on there, well, instantly you know something could be wrong.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last episode too, and I'm kind of a stickler for supply chain attacks because it's not as easy. But those particular devices, I think it's their biggest weakness. Even though it's not necessarily the easiest one. It's not like someone's like, oh yeah, I just did a quick Nmap scan and saw you were running this wallet, and that was it.
Right. I think for those hardware wallets, it's not so much supply chain, unless you count like eBay and Craigslist as supply chain. So I could literally buy like 3 or 4 of those wallets, backdoor them, or do whatever manipulation I want to them, and then put them out on eBay and wait for somebody to load them up and take their stuff because I know their private key.
But that is supply chain, though. I mean, we're just saying that supply chain has been modified by I'm the new supplier.
Right. Yeah. I don't see it so much as, it's getting shipped from X country and coming across, and it's just going to get randomly picked up and backdoored. Not so much that, but like you said, it's going to be the resale where you see that stuff happen most often.
Yeah, I think it's extremely obscure because if you send out, if you resell a bunch of wallets and then people put like $5 on them each, then that was kind of a waste of time.
It's a gamble too. Yeah, I mean, so like that's a good point. I mean, the other thing to think about too is like when you think about having a secure wallet, you need to not think about small dollar amounts. Like you need to think about somebody who's got like millions of dollars to trying to secure, right? Like do you really put, $1 million worth of trust in a, $50 hardware wallet?
Sure.
Why not?
No.
Do you put it in a piece of software somebody wrote? I mean,
you're gonna do like the reported dudes from or the brothers twins.
Yep, the Winklevi.
Yeah, the Winklevoss twins. Yeah, they split up their private key and then put it somewhere in different locations physically.
I mean, you have to argue though that we all put trust in unreviewable closed source code all the time, right?
Right.
We all do, and I'm not saying me and my silly interaction on the internet and maybe my $50. I'm talking about like major companies with lots of information, lots of things to lose, so on and so forth, and they put it in code that they don't see or they don't pay someone to review, and so on and so forth. So I mean, at some point, we're gonna have to trust somebody, right? It's just one of the natures of security. But the supply chain is one issue, right? But we're going to have to trust that code at some point, or we're all just going to unplug, wear some aluminum foil hats, and
Yeah, I think it's the smallest issue. I think like the next thing to evaluate after that, let's say you've received it and it's not compromised, is the actual hardware. And I think that's where the first place where people kind of don't really know what the hardware is, and they don't understand the difference between the Ledger and the Trezor and kind of what directions they've gone and choices they've made that have, which security implications.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, so what do companies like Coinbase do with their, I guess like their cold wallet, right? I mean, are they using paper? Or are they using a hardware wallet? I'm not sure if that's information or not.
According to them and what they say that they're using, I believe, multiple paper wallets that are distributed across different secure locations or unknown locations, I think was the case. And that's why it takes 10 days to bring your stuff out of cold storage.
Gotcha.
I was going to say, how do you deal with quick transactions? You have to have a hot wallet somewhere.
Yeah, so they're basically managing that balance that they have offline and online, and they're making sure that they don't have too much. I think they said they have 1% online and the rest is offline.
Yeah, right. So when there's a huge market crash or something like that, we've seen in history where they've been like, "Whoa, we got to hold off on transactions for a while because they can't keep up." Right.
Yep. Yeah. It's actually 2% they keep online, and they actually split it up into USB, like encrypted USB drives and paper backups. And then the drives and backups are distributed geographically in safe deposit boxes and vaults around the world.
Yep, that makes sense.
So I guess if you want to store millions of dollars, USBs and paper is the way to go.
Yeah, and that's basically from their side of it. I think on the client side of it, it just comes down to kind of the best thing you can do is understand the hardware that it's on and understand the issues. But I have to give both Ledger and Trezor credit. They are really open about like their bug bounties and kind of what's happened previously. And they each have pages dedicated to that.
Mm-hmm. Except with Ledger, they kind of shot down the last researcher who tried to disclose his last 3 major vulnerabilities to them.
Yeah, I think a lot of things come into question. We don't know how that interaction looked, but I believe that like the CISO or the director, one of the directors, interacted directly with the the bug hunter, and I don't ever think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so I guess let's talk a little bit about some of the software vulnerabilities, surrounding it. I mean, a lot of it's pretty general in the sense that like a lot of it kind of comes from the AppSec realm. Any normal web app vulnerability that you would find on any typical web application definitely translates to any of the exchanges that you might buy coins at. The actual wallet software itself, like your background in reverse engineering, would be great for actually, disassembling and taking it apart. So like I actually listed out a couple of the various vulns from some of the last ones here that I guess I can just kind of run through real quick. So we had the Electrum wallet one that Tavis found, which was the insecure JSON RPC one. We had that local RPC client that was listening that potentially you could interact with JavaScript. That was a fun one. There was the Jax wallet had a 12-word backup phrase that was stored with a hard-coded encryption key. So if you were to just get anyone's device, you could decrypt that 12-word seed pretty easily. So little things like that, right? I mean, like things that any pretty standard pen test would find on an app,
right?
Like fix that way before you put, lots of money in it.
Yeah, so I think a lot earlier with these places or companies or groups, whatever you want to call them, not having the wherewithal to be forward thinking with security. It's dollar bills, y'all, and let's just get this stuff out as fast as we can.
Yeah, I think in the bug hunting realm, when people want to get into it and they ask me about it, I say, you know what? Literally, sometimes all you have to do is look because nobody else has looked for these things. Mm-hmm. And now it's getting even easier. I mean, it's another piece of software on a computer. And Metasploit last week dropped an Exodus wallet remote code execution. So it's making it even more, in reach for anybody to start, compromising wallets.
Yeah, so I'm actually curious. I'm actually curious. We should go like Shodan for Exodus wallets and see how many vuln Exodus wallets are out there.
So I think the thing with that one is that they have to actually click. So there's a specially crafted URL that they would have to use, and they would have to click on that, and that's kind of what triggers it. And it's in Electron JavaScript, so that's not really that surprising. It's definitely experienced a lot of issues.
Gotcha. But yeah, I mean, that'd be fun to just, I guess, pop a shell on somebody's wallet, their system with a wallet. Yeah, that's why I guess this is a good place to probably give some advice. Like if you have your wallet software open, you probably shouldn't be surfing the web on the same system.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of advice as far as that goes, but like if you run wallet software and you can run it in a VM, I know that's definitely one of the recommended things. I also talked about working with someone to do like a Dockerized version of the wallet, so you can kind of bring up the entire thing and bring it down when you want to. But just in general, I mean, you don't want something that has a lot of value to it, open when you're on the internet.
Mm-hmm. And what was that thing that came out? I think we talked about a while ago. Was Crypto Secure? Isn't that where it spins you up like a virtual cloud-based machine or something like that, where loads all your wallets and stuff like that, and then it wipes it when you're done? Of course, then we're talking about cloud again and whether or not that's secure and back in that realm. But
yeah, I think somebody can reasonably. I mean, it depends on the amount of money that you have, but if you learn about the wallet that you have, what the security implications are, and you operate it the way that they tell you to, which Trezor has a lot of guidance on that, then you don't keep it plugged in, you're typically in pretty good shape.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that what you said a minute ago about, just looking for bugs, like this is the perfect, probably like, I don't know, playground for bug hunters is just go like create a list of all of the various wallets that are out there and just start, going through them, and you'll probably find some really terrifying stuff.
Yeah, like there's like with Bitcoin in particular, like people have fuzzed it, people have reviewed the code heavily, but there's definitely tons and tons of wallets and software where even a couple of greps could probably pull bugs out of it because just no one's really looking at it.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Yeah. And one interesting thing, some guy who does a lot of technical analysis, he actually did a video where he had some of his keys on the screen, his API keys.
No.
He kind of got hit with that, and suddenly, yeah, he popped up after that and was like, "Oh, I'm going to start talking to people about security." So I think the idea is going to start spawning in people's brains, but I think once the insanity calms down, people will think about it more.
I guess I can relate to that. Sometimes when you see something or it happens maybe to you, then you're like, "Oh no, I got this. I understand security now."
Yeah, I've been hacked. I've been in the trenches, man.
I've been there, man. Hold on, I can preach this.
Yeah, it's just like all of these like so-called advisors, you could say, that are not giving you financial advice. They never talk about security. I mean, they're going to talk about the thing that's going to cause them to have the greatest gain, and it just never comes up. It's just really interesting to me.
Yeah, that's kind of, I guess, what we're trying to bridge the gap a little bit. But I think right now we're, mainly getting security people like yourself listening to us. And so our listener base isn't quite there yet. To all 5 of you listening, thanks.
So what I like to tell people is that, a lot of people are banking on the coin. And obviously the earlier you get in the coin, the more it pays out. But for me, since my interests are here, I'm banking on the knowledge of security, and hopefully in the future, that turns out. So that's kind of where I'm hedging my bets right now.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So another thing with the wallet side of stuff, we did see that BugCrowd added Dash, the iOS and Android wallets to BugCrowd's list. So that if you're a bug hunter, that could be fun. Go check out Dash's iOS and Android wallets.
Yeah, I noticed that they have the Android, the iOS, and then also I think the Core is on the list as well.
Nice.
Dash Core. So.
Yeah, I got a friend digging into that. Hopefully he'll have some and maybe come on the show.
Yes.
If he's listening to this.
Yeah, I don't see any downside. To having a bug bounty program. I mean, it always turns up bugs for the company, and it also extends everybody else's knowledge about what's possible.
Yeah, and it kind of breeds, trust into the organization that, hey, you're actually looking forward towards security and trying to build a better product than just pushing something out and hoping for the best.
Yeah, the openness is a lot better. Is definitely something you want to do.
Openness, transparency, sure.
Yeah, and the last thing I kind of noted here for something that happened this week regarding wallets was so actually I just saw this today. So Electrum, the Electrum wallet. So somebody went and bought Electrum.com. So Electrum.org is normally where the main Electrum wallet's hosted. So somebody went and bought Electrum.com, and they're hosting Electrum Pro right now on Electrum.com. And So like everyone's like, oh my God, it's a shady, coin sealing software. And so even Electrum is like, hey, Electrum.com is not us. It's probably a coin sealing malware. And somebody, I don't know if it's like the people who actually are running Electrum.com, but they actually like have a Twitter handle called Electrum.com, like spelled out Electrum.com. They went and responded to that tweet and they were like, no, it's just a fork of Electrum. And we're just trying to help improve the UI with having paper wallets. Like, yeah, I don't know about that.
I mean, they have hardware wallet support, they're good. It's good, man.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. I don't know. People on Reddit were kind of basically witch hunting and kind of getting everyone to, go try to report them to abuse and whatnot. But hey, I mean, I guess like, what do you do? Like, so just having the name is that something that you should, I don't know, like throw up red flags or whatever? I mean, maybe they are legit.
My question is, was that name just available, or did they like pay a premium for it?
So
I mean, I know this
allegedly
is kind of like past the
they
point,
paid a premium. Yeah, I would imagine they paid a premium.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's a pretty short .com. I think anything under like 7 or 8 characters, it's usually pretty pricey.
I get surprised sometimes. I'll look for a URL domain and it's available, and I'm like, wow, this is not taken yet, and I can get it for $10. Yeah, just for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Unless you want a .io, that thing's $40. I'm like,
yeah.
Why does it have to be $40? Is you're that cool if you have a .io? It doesn't matter what it is, too. But guess so.
Yeah, those are all like 3 times the price.
I can get test.com for $10, or I can get test.io for $50. I don't know.
Awesome. Well, I think that is it for this episode. Justin, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Definitely. And make sure to go and follow us on Twitter. We are at CoinSec Podcast. Keep an eye on CoinSecPodcast.com for links from the show. And hey, maybe some blog posts. I did a quick one on just kind of an intro to cryptocurrency on the Black Hills blog this week. But we're going to kind of tie in some of that to ours, I think, and maybe get some more informational stuff on our site besides just the podcast listed up there. And go subscribe in your favorite podcast app, Spotify, iTunes, whatever you use. We're on pretty much all of them so far, which is kind of cool. And then, hey, if you like the show, leave us a review. That is it, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next week.